This is awesome. This is a perfect rehashing of 2016. Trump says something purposely incendiary. Liberals jump the gun and say, see, he used the term bloodbath. And then Trump and his supporters go, fake news. That's not what he was saying, because it literally wasn't what he was saying in that situation. And then we have a semantics conversation over and over again. I'm saying it. Okay, we're moving on to America's very own strongman, authoritarian, sexy ass leader. And I'm not talking about Joseph Brandon, if you know what I'm saying. We're talking about Donald Trump. Broke boy Donald Trump. If you're a broke boy, just say so. Trump is unable to make a $464 million bond in his civil fraud case because he's broke. That's it. He is not buying the Pokemon cookies, okay, anytime soon.
Able to get a bond to pay the $464 million fraud judgment, calling it, and I'm quoting now, a practical impossibility. CNN's Kara Scannell is joining us from New York right now. Kara, what can you tell us?
Trump should get his money up and not his funny up. He's been getting his funny up too much.
Walk us through what this means.
So Trump's lawyers have informed the appeals court today that they are unable to get anybody, an insurance company, an underwriter, to help them post this bond, the $454 million for Trump alone, the rest to cover his sons. And what they say is that they've approached 30 insurance underwriters, some of these big, gigantic companies that you know, and they say that none of them are willing to do it. As you said, they're calling it a practical impossibility. You know, one of the reasons that they say is an issue here is that some of these insurance companies have internal limits, that they won't issue a bond for more than $100 million. And some of the biggest names that you can think of in the insurance world also will not underwrite a bond and take property, which is what Trump has to put up. They want cash, they want securities, stocks, bonds, something that is what's a liquid, easy to sell asset. They don't want property. And so that is the problem that Trump has run into in trying to come up with this massive amount of money, $500 million. You know, these bond companies too, they also want their own I guess you could call it, insurance on it. They want extra money than just what the bond is, so that they can, cover this as it plays out. This bond is to stop the New York Attorney General's office from seizing the property while the appeal of the judgment and the case goes forward. So they've been asking the Trump's team has been asking the appeals court to allow them to not have to post this bond until the appeal is over. They're saying that Trump has properties that are worth more than the judgment in this case. It's just something that the insurance companies won't take. So they're saying that the Attorney General's team will be able to collect on this judgment if it stands, and they could do so by seizing some of the properties, which the Attorney General's office said they're ready to do. But they're still asking the appeals court here for more time, and that's why we're seeing this new information come out today, saying they're unable to post the bond of this magnitude. They can't get anyone to underwrite it because it is just a large amount, and particularly a large amount for one individual. Wolf?
So, Kara, what comes next in this process?
So now it is before the appeals court. There's been briefing on this. It's up to this New York State appeals court to decide whether to allow Trump to move forward with the appeal and stop the Attorney General's office from seizing properties, to give them this time to have the court case play out. If the court says that Trump does not get this stay, Trump's side is asking them to allow them to put their ruling on hold so they can appeal to.
People saying Elon's going to bail him out with what money, dog? With what money? How's Elon going to bail him out? Elon should bail himself out first. What's he got? You think he's got 464 million just laying around? They're having a broke off, dude. Wait, so Trump did need a GoFundMe? Yes. Yeah, this is part of the new merch that I'm wearing, yes.
To the highest appeals court in New York State. Those will be decisions for the New York appeals court to decide. And of course, the New York Attorney General's office
has people saying Elon has billions in Tesla stock. Okay, you think he's going to sell Tesla stock? Like, that's insane. Or you think at the current interest rates that exist, Elon is going to leverage his Tesla stock to get a loan that is $500 million to bail Donald Trump out? That is insane. Buying a president is one thing, but I feel like, it's a little difficult to do here.
This. They want the appeals court to allow them to enforce the judgment now if Trump cannot post that bond. Wolf?
All right, Kara, we'll stay in close touch with you. We'll see what happens. A significant development indeed.
Renato, let's start with you because you've represented and prosecuted large real estate developers before. What happens if they can't get a bond?
Well, if they can't get a bond, collection efforts go forward, which first of all can be expensive. Okay, there's a court process where the New York Attorney General is going to be trying to collect that judgment. Could potentially put liens on properties, essentially entering that order into various other proceedings. For
And when they put liens on the properties, they're definitely not using the Trump valuations on the properties. Come on, I don't get it. Just put a lien on Mar-a-Lago. You know what I mean? That's worth like what, $10 billion according to Donald Trump.
for example, so that would potentially be an issue for Trump. He doesn't, if he's already got his real estate highly encumbered with loans and so on, having to deal with collection efforts and pay attorneys to fight off collection efforts is yet another problem that he doesn't want to have to deal with.
And his attorneys say that he approached 30 underwriters to back the bond. Does that make sense to you that they would all say no?
Well, in my experience, real estate developers tend to be very highly illiquid. They tend to be highly leveraged. They tend to have all sorts of loans. They might have a revolving line of credit. They may have various loans and personal guarantees out there. However, what I will say is that this is not a complete surprise to Donald Trump. It's not like the New York Attorney General's case happened over the course of minutes. It happened over the course of years. And Trump could anticipate a potential judgment. And the fact that he hasn't prepared by refinancing and selling properties and so on suggests that he may be less wealthy than he has portrayed himself to be.
Oh, on that note, thank you for teeing up Kristen Holmes, who covers the Trump campaign for us. Kristen,
if you're a broke boy, just say so.
You know very well that a big part of Donald Trump's identity is how wealthy he is. And the idea that he can't pay this money, I mean, it wouldn't be out of this world for you or I or most normal people not to pay $500 million and not to have that lying around in our bank account. But it might be different when it comes to how Donald Trump thinks he's perceived.
Yeah, and Jen, I just
Who
want
do
to
you
start
support, Biden or Trump? RFK, baby.
by saying that you should know that there are a lot of Trump allies who watch your show, and they've been texting me with the argument.
RFK, Jesse the Body Ventura ticket. That's right. Jesse the Body Ventura is going to be the president after he's RFK's vice president.
Of one, most billionaires are not liquid. This
Right.
is not that surprising. The other argument saying this is about the insurance companies, this insane amount, this is their words, not mine, in terms of the bond. These insurance companies can't get that much money, that much collateral. So there is an argument here among Trump world. But as you know, Donald Trump himself has painted himself, his entire image, not just politically, but also before that, his brand on being a billionaire. And that is why this case was so personal for him in the first place, was the idea that everything he had built was essentially on a lie, it was fraudulent, that he wasn't really this rich, that he had inflated those numbers. That's why you saw him so fascinated and so intent on being part of this case, sitting in that courtroom, listening to these various witnesses, because it is to his personal brand. It also goes to his political brand. This idea that I built myself up as a billionaire and I could do that for you too goes away if you can't afford to pay this kind of money.
And let me just go back to Renato on this, because you did mention that most real estate developers are not liquid. They can't just write a $500 million check. I think that is probably true for most billionaires.
Damn, dude, they're just flexing on him. They are currently flexing on Donald Trump. They're calling him a broke bitch, dude. Chill. That's fucked up.
Though I don't certainly have that experience to really know firsthand. But if they have assets, the question is, you kind of said maybe if he prepared, he would start to sell things off. I mean, is that a real possibility that he might have to do that?
I will just say that in other circumstances, other matters that I've handled, that is what's happened. Essentially, real estate developers refinance properties, sell properties, do what they have to do to get cash. Now, Candidly, I've never been in a case where a real estate developer needed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions. It's only been in the tens of millions, but nonetheless, for those real estate developers, it was a very significant ask, right, to come up with that kind of money. If you have if your net worth is in the hundreds of millions, and so, but for Donald Trump, nonetheless, he could have anticipated this and sold a property in the midst of the New York Attorney General's proceeding. And I really would say one of two things is true here: either he doesn't have the wealth that he suggests he has, or he didn't plan whatsoever, was so blind to what was occurring that he essentially left himself in a position where now he's going to incur significant costs and hassle and a disruption to his business that was unnecessary.
Well, 10 million bond is a small bean developer. All right. Yeah, he's a broke boy. He's been a broke boy. He needs to get his money up. He needs to not get his funny up, but he's been getting his funny up too hard. So Donald Trump over the weekend had some statements. And some of those statements were incendiary as always. And others were taken out of context. Mainstream media came after our boy. Specifically when Trump said, if I don't get reelected, it will be a bloodbath. Now, they were quick to jump on that and go, oh my God, he's talking about, murder on the streets. It's no understandable fear that people might have considering January 6th when he didn't win. However, turns out our big, beautiful boy got clip-chimped. And I'm going to tell you exactly how in a moment. Let's take a look.
To the latest on our presidential race, the presumptive Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump, is taking heat for the language he used at a rally in Ohio over the weekend, where he lashed out at migrants and defended January 6 criminals. Ed O'Keefe has more now from the White House for us. Ed, Donald Trump's former vice president says he will not endorse him. We are in unusual territory here, to say the least. What is going on?
That's right, Tony. We sure are. Mike Pence says his differences with Donald Trump aren't over style or language. Pence argues his former boss is walking away from conservative principles like fiscal responsibility and opposition to abortion. So he can't back him.
I've come to the conclusion that I won't be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
A forceful rebuke from Donald.
Boo! Traitor! You have no constituency. No one cares. You suck. You abandoned our president in the moment that he needed you the most. You're a fake friend. You're a phony. We don't like you.
Donald Trump's one-time vice president, Mike Pence.
The reason why I won't endorse Donald Trump this year is because I see him departing from the mainstream conservative agenda.
Beyond policies, the two have clashed over the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. On Saturday, Trump kicked off an Ohio rally with support for the January 6th defendants.
Can you see the spirit from the hostages? And that's what they are, as hostages.
On Sunday, some members...
Yeah, he called the J6ers hostages, which I think is awesome. He's an abolitionist, okay? That is my abolitionist king. Our prison's obsolete. Folks, let me tell you, we must focus on rehabilitative justice, because justice is what love looks like in public. That's right. That's right. Folks, release the hostages. He's a prison abolitionist only for white people? Yes.
Of his own party criticized Trump's promise to pardon those convicted for actions at the Capitol.
We're a nation of laws, and those folks were convicted. Many times they pled guilty. If you plead guilty, i.e., obviously you're not a patriot.
Trump went on to stoke fear about criminals coming across the southern border.
Well, I don't know if you call them people. In some cases, they're not people, in my opinion.
And speaking about the auto industry and cars manufactured abroad, he said,
we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the
Look at this dildo
line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath.
The Biden campaign criticized.
Immediately they seized on it. They clip-chimped him, and they seized on it, and they were like, wow, he's saying there's going to be a bloodbath. To be fair, under other circumstances, Trump has basically likened, he uses spicy language for sure. And do I believe that he's not like memeing on what will happen if he doesn't get elected as far as like political violence? Certainly. But this isn't one of those instances. Hold on.
Trump's use of the word bloodbath, saying he was doubling down on threats of political violence. The Trump campaign hit back, saying the comment was taken out of context.
As for President Biden, he celebrated St. Patrick's Day here at the White House yesterday while also celebrating a record $53 million fundraising total in February. This week, he's headed west for stops in the battleground states of Nevada and Arizona, which he won in 2020, will be critical in November. He'll also be making some stops in Texas to raise money. Tony?
Yeah. November itself will be critical. Ed, thank you very much.
Republicans find themselves answering questions about one man and one man only, Donald Trump. The Sunday shows were filled with questions about two eye-catching comments Trump made last night. In one, Trump said migrants are not people. And in the other, he painted a dark future for the country if he does not win.
We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a blood.
I just had sorry, I just had someone randomly come to my house for house cleaning, and I was like, this is not the right house. They're at the wrong house. Never mind. That's what. No. It wasn't a solicitor. No, they showed me the address. It was the wrong address. Wrong door. It was the CIA. Yeah, dude. The CIA is a tiny Latina abuelita. Okay. The CIA has many different methods. It's certainly not a 5'1" tiny little lady. She's an asset. The CIA is woke now. Yeah, she's a trained assassin. Kim Jong-un gets Turkish ice cream. Wait, what the? No, that's not actually Kim Jong-un. Shut the fuck up. Where was I? Oh, so we were talking about the bloodbath thing. Do I believe personally that Donald Trump and his supporters might do another January 6th? Maybe, right? It's not unlikely, but he's not talking about that here. He's saying like it's going to be a bloodbath for you economically. Okay, it's obvious. The actual spicy language that he utilizes is not even spicy. It's just straight Nazi language that he utilizes when talking about undocumented immigrants and immigrants alike, where he basically said in that same speech moments prior to this that like these guys aren't human. Okay, how the f do you not get mad at that, but you get mad at like it's going to be a bloodbath if you don't elect me? Because Democrats also are like, no, he's right on that. Like he's going full fash saying they're not people. And the Democrats are like, I can't believe he said it's going to be a bloodbath if he's not elected, because of the EV tariffs. It's very frustrating. Okay. It's very, 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 very frustrating. I think a trade war with China is kind of spicy, if not dehumanizing. Well, wait, what? No, it's just, there's limits to what he can and can't do. Look at that dude at the rally behind Trump with the red tie, black coat, and glasses. Is that the most incel looking motherfucker you've ever seen? Yes. He has the blockiest head I've ever seen in my life, too.
Bath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
Now, of course, we don't have to think about what could happen if Donald Trump doesn't get elected and the bloodbath that might ensue, because he is going to get elected. Unless the Democrats change course dramatically, okay, he already is going to get elected. So you don't have to worry about what happens when he doesn't, okay? You should start worrying about what happens when he does.
Here to talk about that and much more, Democratic strategist Maria Cardona and Republican strategist Alice Stewart, both CNN political commentators and co-hosts of the podcast Hot Mics from Left to Right. Thank you for being with us. All right, Alice, I want to...
Damn, bro, they get podcasters up there, but I'm not up there. Get the fuck out of here, CNN. Ryan Grimm and Aaron Rupar went to war over this clip. Oh, this is funny. So do I have the straight? Trump said if he's not elected and we don't put tariffs on Chinese EVs, there will be a bloodbath in the auto industry, and that's reported as him saying there will be a general bloodbath. Headline writers, don't outsmart yourself. Just do Trump promises bloodbath if he doesn't win election. No, you don't have that right, but that's very on brand for you, so that's not what he said. I heard it in the clip. That's what it sounded like he said. I don't like Trump, but pretty sure Ryan got it right in what he said. Nope, when he says it'll be the least of it, he's referring to cars. The bloodbath of the whole country is not about cars. This is awesome. This is a perfect rehashing of 2016. Trump says something purposely incendiary. Liberals don't just like focus on all the other incendiary shit that he said that's like directly tangible policies. Liberals jump the gun and say, see, he used the term bloodbath. He means like they're going to do J6 style bloodbath. Okay, this time it'll be J6, but J7 and J8. Okay, it'll be like October 7, but for America. And then Trump and his supporters go, fake news. That's not what he was saying, because it literally wasn't what he was saying in that situation. And the irony, of course, is that he has basically said that, you know, there will obviously be moments like of political violence on numerous other occasions. So like liberals feel galvanized in defending that position. They feel like of course he's going to do political violence. He's said it many, many times over, right? And then we consistently get like all those moderates to be more polarized that were already like begging to vote for Trump anyway. They were looking for any out, and rehash the 2016 cycle over and over again. Hyper focus on Donald Trump's incendiary statements in the wrong ways. Okay. Hyper focus on Trump's incendiary statements, not the actual ones that are like tangible and reflect his policy outlook. Okay. And then we have a semantics conversation over and over again. No, when he says that'll be the least of it, he's referring to cars. The bloodbath of the whole country is not about cars. I get why MAGAs and anti-Trumpers are muddying the waters, though. You can't be this stupid, so you must be lying. So you acknowledge that the first bloodbath was indeed a reference to the economic damage of the auto industry. Bloodbath is a common term for financial catastrophe. This obvious context when he talks about the rest of the country clearly shows he's claiming similar economic catastrophe will hit the whole country and the auto industry will collapse. It will be the least of it. Then he goes back to talking about the auto industry. Trump is a dangerous lunatic, but you're just flat out lying here, or just dumber than I ever thought. Pathetic. Ryan, he's saying that if he loses, there will be a bloodbath and the auto industry will be the least of it. It doesn't take a genius to listen to the clip and figure that out, but I'll leave the tortured anti-Trumpism to you. It's your specialty. It is impossible to listen to, or like the notion that we have to have like a separate category for anti-Trumpism is so dumb. Because Ryan is not pro-Trump. I am not pro-Trump. Ryan, in this instance especially so, is just simply pro-truth. You are saying, you don't want to say that. You don't want to say that like you're actually reading the statement, okay? You're reading the statement as it's intended, and that is like because you don't want this to be weaponized by the trumpets, okay? And immediately that's like, well, you must be a trumpet yourself, but we know that you're not a trumpet, so we'll just claim that you're anti-Trump. It's very stupid. You can interpret it both ways. I agree with your point, but there's no truth. No, the point is Trump has already talked about political violence time and time again. Trump has also led to political violence. He literally talks about the January 6th prisoners that went to jail for doing an insurrection as hostages. It is clear how he feels about political violence. He is on board with it, okay? He's on board with political violence. You don't have to manufacture an additional narrative off of something that he can very easily defend. It is so stupid. It is so goddamn stupid. And to present people like Ryan especially as like anti-Trump, as though they don't, as though they specifically hate, like as though they are the real centrists here, is idiotic. What did Asmongold say? Yeah, exactly. It's the Asmongold quote about, people making up shit about me. If what I say is so bad, why make up shit? Except in this circumstance, Trump does say a lot of bad shit. So you don't have to look that far and then have the media narrative be driven by, did he or did he not mean that there's going to be political violence? Especially when there will be political violence, and he will definitely say that there should be political violence down the line anyway. That's why it's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It is impossible to listen to that or read it and think he meant anything other than financial bloodbath. You think by lying like this, you're helping Biden, but the irony is that you are the one here, not me, that is actually giving Trump a boost. I 100% agree with this, by the way. You're further discrediting legitimate criticism of him and insulting the intelligence of people who can watch the clip themselves and speak the English language. You are helping Trump and hurting Biden, the very opposite of your intent. Yeah. The liberal hysterics and cope at their finest. Biden is cooked and they're grasping blindly in the dark for anything. Yeah. By the way, hey guys, Donald Trump actually did use Hitlerian language in that conversation, in that speech. My favorite Aaron tweet as of late, fair warning right now that I'm going to have no fucks to give this election cycle. The choice between democracy and authoritarianism, sanity and insanity. I'm going to call out anybody who obscures that very clear and vital distinction. It's all on the line. Yeah. Dude, Aaron is going to make you wear the latex cuck suit, okay? This time, tonight is different. He's not wearing the latex suit. You are. You better not come after our boy Brandon or democracy. I love Aaron. He's great. All right. Where the f are we? What are we doing? Okay. Trump defends his bloodbath warning. Hear what political strategists think. We're back to domestic politics now. Nice. You're going to get a lot of shit for that tweet. I don't give a f, dude. I get a lot of shit for saying the truth all the time.
Start with you. The Trump campaign says the bloodbath comment was just about the auto industry. Your reaction?
I believe it. Look, you have to look at, there are several definitions of bloodbath, but one of the definitions of the word bloodbath is a period of disastrous loss or reversal. That phrase is used all the time. We're talking about the economy or the stock market. That's the context I truly believe he was using in this case. He's talking in Detroit, he's talking about the auto industry, and he was making the case, and of course, I'm not surprised Democrats took it out of context. He's making the case of about China, and if they're going to build huge manufacturing facilities in Mexico and think they're going to sell these cars up in America, if he's president, there will be a 100% tariff, and they are not going to have the economic result that they're currently getting with the Biden administration. And also, the campaign made the point quite accurately that Joe Biden's electric vehicle mandates are killing the American manufacturing industry. And they're making the case that under the Biden administration, it's not great news for the auto.
Yeah, it's crazy that CNN not covering that he said migrants weren't human, literally like in that same speech. I think around 30 seconds prior or 30 seconds after, okay? He literally said migrants aren't human. And they're like, I can't believe he said it would be a bloodbath for the auto industry, which we will now talk about endlessly.
Auto manufacturing industry, and that's an accurate statement.
Maria.
Oh, bless your heart, Alice. Look, of course I don't buy it. And what Alice is saying reflects every single kind of pretzel that Republicans are bending themselves into trying to dismiss it, spin it, or try to embrace it. But the fact of the matter is, Paula, Donald Trump has a history of this dark, violent, dangerous rhetoric. And we already saw the result of what happens when he uses that rhetoric. Because even though every single Republican that is asked is going to try to spin it and pretend that it really had nothing to do with a real bloodbath, his cult MAGA supporters and followers totally know exactly what he was telling them.
Yeah. Oh my God. Dude, we're so cooked. Chat is over. Trump president. Trump is going to be president. This goes along with, the other tweet that I actually ended up closing for some reason. This conversation, what Trump meant and what Trump actually didn't mean, goes along so perfectly with this piece of news that I didn't cover when it first popped off on March 15th. Hillary Clinton and Hamilton's Lin-Manuel Miranda are reportedly stepping into the spotlight for President Biden's campaign, hosting a Broadway-themed fundraiser together. It's so Jover, dude. It's so Jover. I'm not even, oh my God. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. Yeah, no, you deserve it. You deserve to see this.
Sign up on your lawn.
Dude, it goes so hard. I just love his face on this. Like he's like, I did that. He's like, I did that shit. Like he's like, I can't believe it. Like I went so hard with this.
8, 9, number 10 pages votes.
Like, look at the intensity. Yeah, I did counting in my rap. God, it's so sick. Hell yeah. Mi gente. This is your 9/11. No, 9/11 is my 9/11. This is just the best. I don't understand. What are you guys talking about? Like, this was awesome.
Demonstrated that on January 6th. And the only thing that Trump said is, come to the Capitol. It's going to be wild. We have to take back our country. Imagine what will happen when he loses after Trump says things like, it's going to be a bloodbath if I lose. That is dangerous, it's irresponsible, and he should not get away with it. And certainly Republicans should not be trying to dismiss it.
But even answering questions like this cannot be helpful for Republicans in terms of their own election prospects.
No, and this is, many in the liberal media would rather focus on this than talk about how poorly the economy is and how bad things are at the border and how public safety is not good in many cities across the country. And, you know, my dear friend Maria, I just do have to push back on the fact that what is dangerous is when Democrats take things out of context. He was talking about the auto industry. He wasn't talking about January 6th. And believe me, I have been.
Our country.
You and I have
we heard it.
We have had many conversations. I disagree with everything he had to do with January 6th and questioning the integrity of our election. But in this context, that's not what he was talking about.
But Alice, do you really think that his followers, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, what you are saying is what he meant. You know his followers are not going to take it that way. He, as a prospective president, should understand that. And this is where the massive failure is for him and for Republican followers and elected officials who understand just how dangerous that is.
Let's bring in our panel. David Frum, staff writer for The Atlantic, CNN contributor Lulu Garcia-Navarro, and Jason Osborne, former senior communications strategist for the 2016 Ben Carson campaign. Thank you all for being here this morning. David, I'm going to kind of let you go first here. The weekend sort of back and forth around this really seemed to center on, you know, a lot of the president's defenders saying, look, he was being very specific. It was about the auto industry. This is all being mischaracterized. I want to just play the whole clip just so that, you know, no one can accuse us of not showing the entirety of what the president said about this. It's a little bit of a longer version than what we just showed. Let's watch it, and then I'd like your reaction. Watch.
If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get
I love that they are like doing their quote unquote due diligence by showing the full context, only to like relitigate it over and over again, which makes it so stupid. It makes it so dumb. Like, you already diminished the importance of the statement. You show the full context, and then you still argue over it. And I guess it's because I feel like the reason why they're doing this is because like they don't really care about like what this does for Brandon's camp. And I think like Brandon has already pushed the bloodbath narrative anyway. So they don't give a shit. Like, they think this will be a ratings boost because like triggered conservatives will come in and watch to be like, oh, you guys are so stupid. So like, I get why CNN does it, but like when Aaron Rupar, who thinks he's like a loyalist Fedayeen for the DNC, is doing this, he doesn't realize that he's like playing into exactly what Trump supporters love, which is, oh, you're so stupid. You went in, you activated my trap card. You're literally fake news media. You're lying about Donald Trump again. There are plenty of instances where Trump says unhinged shit.
elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars.
What's he doing here?
Well, Trump's brain is a little bit like pudding. Things slop around and don't cohere into any precise shape. But I looked it up. In the past 12 months, past year, former President Trump has threatened violence in one form or another at least 5 times that I can count. On his Truth Social, with images of him putting a baseball bat at the head of the New York DA. He's threatened death and destruction if he's not elected. So if this had come out of the blue, you might say, okay, the pudding brain has spat out something formless in the context of saying we're going to blow up the U.S.-Mexico Free Trade Agreement and massively raise the price of cars for American consumers. He said something else, but 5 times. This would be the 6th incident of a call for violence in the past year. So I think it's at that point you get to say, if you're predicting death and destruction if you lose, if you're saying there's going to be bedlam if you lose, if you invite your supporters to go after the New York Attorney General, when you then say, and there will be a bloodbath if I lose, you lose the benefit of the doubt because there's a pattern here that goes back a year.
I think one of the things that to me is really interesting about this entire speech was that he started it by lauding the January 6th.
And let's show that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's play that, and then we're going to pick up where Lulu left off.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the horribly and unfairly treated January 6th hostages.
You see the spirit from the hostages, and that's what they are, as hostages.
Genders are like the Twin Towers.
And I identify as an airplane.
It's so stupid.
They've been treated terribly. Unbelievable patriots, and they were unbelievable patriots and are.
Criminals who attack police officers on their way into the Capitol. Continue.
Precisely. And so this was a violent insurrection. And so what he's doing there is setting the stage. He's starting his campaign rally there by saying, hey, these people didn't actually do what they did. They were patriots. They are, politically persecuted. And it sets the stage for this normalization of violence. And so when he uses words like bloodbath, talking about the car industry, already the people who are listening to him are primed to understand that he's really talking about something else.
Well, and this is kind of part of it.
This is so stupid. He said hostages. Yeah, January 6ers, the political prisoners, free them. My goat. He's right. I'm telling you, dude, he's saying our prison's obsolete. He's saying that America must change its ways. Okay. He's a prison abolitionist. First Step Act, anybody remember that one?
Of it too. I mean, in the lead up to January 6th, there's plenty of clues, right, along the way that this is what he was asking people to do because there was an audience that was hearing him in a certain way. Jump in, offer your thoughts.
The funniest part about this is like, dude, getting mad at this. Hold on, sorry, I'm texting Dave 1 of Chromeo. I'm gonna have him on the broadcast talk about Israel Palestine, hopefully this week. And we're trying to figure out if we can have P Thug on too. That's right, my goat, A-Track's brother. No, not David Frum. Yeah, I'm texting David Frum. I think old heads remember David Maklowicz is my king, my goat. Love him. No, not Patrick, but David. Don't even joke, please. What do you mean? Why would I joke? I've had him on a bunch of times. I've been friends with him for like 10 years at this point almost. As a 34-year-old Chromeo superfan, it pisses me off your pals with Dave 1. Wait, what? Yes. And yes, Dave 1 is A-Track's brother. That's also true. David is incredibly handsome, incredibly stylish, and also incredibly thoughtful, empathetic. One of the GOATs of all time. One of the greatest of all time. Okay? He does not age. He's the man.
Thoughts here if you think these folks are on the wrong track, but I'm interested in that piece of it as well.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and defend, like some of the other Republicans that have been on here defend. I know what he was referring to. I would say that, like, this isn't unusual for Trump to kind of go off cuff.
Oh, the point I was going to make was this, okay? Donald Trump says unhinged shit all the time. If he wanted to say it's going to be a bloodbath if you don't elect me because, like, we're going to go out and kill people in the streets, he would just say that. It's so stupid. Like, what the f are we doing? And probably next week he will. So why are you just like doing it when he's not saying it? You know what I mean? It's very, very, very dumb.
The excuse that the teleprompter was moving around and shaking around. I mean, what Trump does at these things is he gauges the audience reaction. And I think if he's focusing on certain parts of the audience and he's starting to lose them, they're not understanding what he's saying, they're waiting for that red meat thing, he throws something out there. It's careless and it's reckless, right? But I don't necessarily feel that, there's a half-truth to everything that he says, enough so that it reinvigorates what he's thinking is the base, right? And you're hoping that at some point he switches to a general election strategy, but in the back of his mind, he feels like these rallies are kind of boring if he focuses on policy discussions, et cetera. So the January 6th thing, I have honestly no idea what that's about. I can't.
Do you really think Trump doesn't always phrase things in a way where he has plausible deniability? No. What are you talking about? He just said in the same speech that migrants are not human. Like, I don't think he was trying to do like a 5D chess move here. He's not that smart, dude. You guys are making him like out to be a much smarter individual than he actually is. And even if he is smart, he's just like, he doesn't give a shit. Your daughter's awake, give her a treat. I already did.
Sit here and say that that's a great thing to start talking about. He's already got those folks in his camp. So move on and try and add voters that you lost in 2020 and then the millions of new voters that he needs to get in order to defeat Biden.
I like that in that entire conversation, they like, their takeaway is the silliest shit once again. Like, he's literally here. I'm gonna man, come on. You know he knows how to read the room better than anyone. Couldn't this be his way of pouring a bit of gas on the fire? He knows how to manipulate so well. Guys, Donald Trump will, in the upcoming months, absolutely make further inferences to political violence. I promise you. And they will be directly, and those inferences will be direct. They will not be while he's talking about cars, okay, and EVs and China. They will be directly within the context of January 6th, okay? The reason why the stand back and stand by doesn't make sense to make a comparison on here is because that was a direct answer to what do you do about the Proud Boys? This was just him talking about, like, this is the usage of the term, it's going to be a bloodbath, while talking about the car manufacturing. That's the difference. He does do that as well when he's like locked into a corner or some shit like that. Yeah, Chad is forgetting that in 2016, Trump was he's just straight up saying it candid that motherfuckers never had to hide shit. Yeah. Stop making excuses for Trump. I just want Trump to win because I love him, okay? I know. I love him. I want to keep running 3-minute ad breaks at the top of the hour. And Trump will make sure that I, keep running ad breaks at the top of the hour every hour. And Trump will also make sure that you can still subscribe, he told me, for $5 or for free. I think you're being a bit derivative and oversimplifying this. It doesn't matter what he said. It matters what his followers heard, and they heard Bloodbath. Guys, I don't know if you heard, but he also said Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers. And he said that they're dumping their insane asylum people and prisoners into the country. They're invading the country, and they're not actual humans. That's what he said. Those were direct, okay? Like, way, what the fuck is happening? Why are people being so obsessed with being fair to Trump? Because this is not about being fair to Trump. It's not about being fair to Trump at all. It's about what the media attention is being placed upon, and I suspect it's being placed upon the bloodbath narrative because liberals agree with the immigrant rapist narrative now. So they can't criticize Trump too hard on the immigrant rapist shit because Joe Biden is also pushing a right-wing immigration bill. That's it. That's my point, okay? And guess what? Is Hasan gaslighting liberals today over the bloodbath comments? Yes, dude. I'm gaslighting liberals by saying he's talking about the auto manufacturers and that the fact that mainstream media hyper-focusing on the bloodbath thing is a relitigation of the exact 2016 cycle that caused a lot of animosity for a shit ton of people that love this battle. They love being like, oh, you took them out of context, you silly liberals. You guys are so stupid. Bro, you're doing the pancakes waffles meme. No Democrat thinks it's poggers that Trump called migrants animals. No. But because Donald Trump, they talked about the vermin thing when Donald Trump was talking about how, he believes that immigrants are vermin, right? And how Hitlerian that is. And then what did Joe Biden do? Like a month after that, made its way through the media cycle, Joe Biden went forward with an incredibly right-wing, pro-Trump border immigration bill, which features $22 billion to Border Patrol, that the Border Patrol union actually originally pushed for as well, only for Donald Trump to say, no, actually, we don't want this bill. Again, take you so long to get to your actual argument, then say that not an hour ago, making excuses of it. Yeah, first and foremost, I did start off this conversation with saying just that, okay? That's actually, you might not have heard it, but I did start with specifically that point, okay? And that was my major focus over the coverage. Now we're just like kind of reacting to liberals being silly about it, okay? What do you want me to do? If I covered the news in the way that, hoping that like, I'm giving you all of my takes in that very moment that you come into the chat, I would just keep repeating the same news story and my take on the same news story in perpetuity for the entire broadcast. I would just be repeating the same talking point over and over again, nonstop. When instead I should be repeating that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. I forgot to run it, so I'm running it now. This guy's in a rush somehow watching a Twitch stream. Yeah. I'm seeing so many people ready to blame the left if Trump wins. Yeah. It don't matter.